It is so great. Okay. Oops, the background is not so great. Okay, great. Okay, I think I love this background now. Yeah, I think I love this background now. Sorry for showing my well structured apps. Okay, great. So, what do I want to talk about exactly? I honestly I don't know. I'm trying to cover that curtain because I'm too lazy to stand up. Right. So I don't know, but this is supposed to be like a late night reflection, asking myself questions and stuff like that. Right. So I'm trying to bring down the music a little bit so that it's more friendly in the background. Okay, I think this should be better. All right, great. So if you happen to stumble on this, if you happen to stumble on this, my name is Olufemi Grace. Right? Let's put it at that. No title, no affiliation. I'm just a random guy existing on the surface of planet Earth. Apparently. Yeah. Great. So it's going to be very random, very spontaneous, very whatever. Because this is disclaimer, this is not a content. This is just me goofing around. This is just me randomly thinking, and this is just me randomly setting up the camera and see. I mean, there's nobody that's going to join, so why don't I just have this interaction with myself? Okay, so let's get started with. Let me get started with one thing. Let me get started with a thought. Then I feel like it's going to just spiral, and I mean, the universe will take the course from there, right? It's pretty late in the night. I'm supposed to go to the gym tomorrow morning. Okay, let's see if we can get this done. Okay, actually, there is no goal here, which is why any of the things I've been saying for the past 2 minutes does not make any logical sense. Okay, Grace, let me start with a thought. Then from there would move. All right. Okay. So I saw something interesting. I think I screenshotted it. Right. So let me use that to start as a basis to start. Then from there, I think it's just going to I mean, it's just going to spiral from there. Okay, so I saw this. I don't know if it's on IG or something. It says, "Don't ghost on your own greatness. Show up for yourself." Right. So, I think it's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. The fact that you have to show up for yourself. That you shouldn't ghost on your own greatness. So, I think the idea of greatness is it's pretty interesting becoming what you don't actually know what it is, right? So you want to be great. I mean, you might have an idea of I want to be great at this, I want to be great at this, but actually don't have a man of how you should go around it. You actually don't know what would work for you, right? But at the same time, you are supposed to show up for yourself and don't ghost on yourself. So I mean, it's crazy, it's interesting. But let's start with something. So so far I've done some boring stuff with the last 365 days. So let me recount a little bit. So if I'm supposed to start all over again, what would I do different? I mean, it's listening nice. I'm trying to be cozy a little bit on this chair. So if I'm supposed to start all over again, what would I do different? I think the first thing I would do different is I'm going to learn about money. I'm still trying to cover that curtain. So I'm going to learn about money pretty early in such a way that I know enough about money, right? Right. It's not because money is very important. It's not because money is like the big thing in the society. It's just that one thing I've realized is money gives some level of freedom that you can't get from other things. So I think the part of money that the society or the rich people do not really push out, right, is the freedom that money can afford you. So money is not just about being able to flaunt what you have, being able to show that you have this, you have XYZ. It's just the freedom, right? Because life itself, it's life is not a process of discovery, right? It's a process of creation. You have to create the kind of life you want. And for you to create, either you're choosing the path of creating, you're sticking with the part of creating, or you're sticking with the part of discovery, you still would need some level of freedom to actually exist, to actually do whatever you want to do. So I think that's what make money important. That's why I would learn about money very fast. Then when you learn about money and you learn about the concept of whatever it is around money, investing, blah blah blah, blah, you'll discover that learning about money itself does not solve your money problem. That's one interesting I found about money. So you can know a lot about money and you can still be broke, still be stinkily broke, be poor. Yeah, it's possible. You can know a lot about money, a lot about how to approach this XYZ, and you are still broke. So I figured that is possible. So when you get to that level, the next thing you discover is that you have to actually learn how to bring in the money. So learning about money is all about how to manage it, how to grow it. But you still have to get your seed, which is the income. So if I'm thinking I would go back now and do something different, I think what I would do different is I'll forget about learning a skill, figuring out to build a product or anything, right? Because all of those things I don't know, they don't scale somewhat, or they don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, right? I feel like they don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. So, if I'm supposed to approach making money again, I really much focus on sales, right? Ability to sell something, ability to just sell, right? Yourself, your skill, your whatever it is. Because think about it now. If you learn a skill, what you do is you build value through whatever means or so, right? Then you still have to figure out how to sell your skill to someone, which is where you have to apply for job, you have to do the interview, you have to convince the person that you can actually do what you can do, right? So you have to position yourself. So there's positioning. So basically, what you're doing there is you're selling yourself, and when you sell yourself and they buy you, you still have to distribute the value that you already have inbuilt. You get the idea. So and it's when you look at the technicality of some of these things, right? It's not really scalable. I mean, I feel like it's not really scalable. Personal opinion. Either it's skill, either it's product, right? So what really matters is your ability to sell and your ability to distribute for you to make good money, for you to be rich, right? So, and I feel like if I'm supposed to do that, which is something I would start experimenting going forward, is that I will focus more on my ability to sell, how I can sell literally anything, skill, product, service, community, idea, notions, anything, right? So if you can sell and you have a community that can sell, or you have a community that you can constantly sell to, you would make money. So I figured this out with this multi-level marketing, then Ponzi scheme kind of stuff that is always going around randomly. You discover that there's something that these people that do multi-level marketing know that the general public does not know, and it looks like they are the bad guy. So here's what they know. They understand that your ability to sell things to people, to be the community that can sell, matters more than whatever it is that you're selling itself. So here's the idea. You find, say, a group of guys that sell products, maybe through a multi-level marketing system, right? Today they're selling health products. Tomorrow they are selling digital course. But you figure that the person at the top of the chain is always making money because they are not tied to the idea of a product. They are not tied to the idea of a particular niche. They are tied to the idea and they have figured that out. Having a community that can actually sell is what matter. So their community works like an engine, right? A sales engine that wherever you point it to, it just fire, right? So either you are in health, you are in data product, you're in this and this, they just have the ability to sell. And because they have the ability to sell, whatever they pick up to start selling becomes a trend, and they sell it to the people that feel like they are cringe, they are like not so cool. I mean, why will I do multi-level marketing? But these guys do make money. So here's the idea. So that's the idea, I think. Right. So, and the crazy thing about money that I feel like I would also learn early is that money itself is a game. Yeah, it's a game. And it's not a game that you can delegate. Nope. It's not a game that you can delegate. Most people want to, especially building wealth itself. Yeah, it's a game, and it's not a game that you can delegate. Most people want the other stock they can buy. I mean, I had someone reach out, just sent me a message this afternoon. Let me check what the message the person sent. The person was like, "Can I share my long-term portfolio with him?" I feel like that's not really the best way to build wealth because you don't even know whatever decision, whatever opinion I have around those assets I've selected and why I'm putting my money there. So if I do share it with you, it's just like I'm messing up with your life because so say my plan is I plan on retiring by say 29 or by 30 or by 40. So whatever I'm investing into, whatever actions I'm taking around money and wealth building is designed towards that goal, right? So the moment I share with you, I'll be forcing you into my own direction, which everybody has different direction and different things they want to do. So hence the reason why you actually can't copy people when it comes to wealth building and financial decisions. Nah, you shouldn't do that. It's suicidal. Yeah, you're literally going to kill yourself financially if you do that. So, I think that's that about that. Then what else is something I want to? I feel like I could talk about. Yeah. So I saw something else recently that's screenshotted. Right. And it says you are your own lab rat. Experiment relentlessly. Go vegan, then carnivore, then sleep for 4 hours, then try sleeping without an alarm. Walk in complete silence, then try walking in heavy metals with noise or whatever, or making noise. Then run 10 miles every day, then try only lifting weight. But the idea is find what makes you feel great, scrap everything that doesn't. I think to some extent, I really support that ideology because when you look at it, life really, really feels like an experiment. I mean, apart from the fact that you if you work with spirituality, life can become very, very clear and directed, right? But when you look at the grand scheme of things, it looks like life really, really is more like an experiment. You really have to try a lot of things before you can get what works for you. I mean, there's more there's a lot of things you have to try before you can get what works for you. So say you want to create content or you want to become a software developer, you have to try a lot of a lot of project, a lot of I don't know. I just feel like you have to do a lot before you find what works for you or before you finally get it clear. So I think life is more of a process of creation rather than discovery. So in the process of creating, if you actually don't know the recipe yet, you have to do a lot of experiment. So you have to experiment relentlessly, right? You have to you have to experiment vigorously, like move very, very fast, fail very, very fast that it looks like everything is happening in one moment. Like yeah, Thanos, like everything is happening. You're failing and getting to the result like that very fast. So man, it's been 14 minutes. Great. So what else do I want to talk about? I'm just randomly talking to myself. Really, nobody listening. So and that's the idea. Because it's been 359 days since we started a restaurant, which the most interesting and the most funny thing is I actually know nothing I knew nothing about hospitality business. I knew nothing about restaurant, right? But I know the idea of how, I mean, the framework of a business, which is you find something that is in demand, that you observe that there is a gap for, there is a market for, right? And you find a way to bring it to the market, right? So the idea now is what you're bringing to the market, you can create it from scratch, or you can just copy it from somewhere and paste it in another place, adjust it, tweak it a little bit. Just, but the whole idea is find a market where there's a gap, where something is not existing and people need it, even though they don't know that they need it. Just, I mean, find it, right? Then provide that thing and keep tweaking it, keep providing it, keep tweaking it until you get like a fit of this is what the people think they want, this is what they want, and this is what you're providing. And when you guys are like, yeah, you guys are dancing, right? You guys are dancing, and the moment you guys get a sync, right, it becomes a perfect, yeah, it becomes a perfect dance. So I didn't really know nothing about starting a restaurant, starting whatever it is. Yeah, I knew nothing about it, but I, I think we started because of something I got to realize later, which was a gift. We started because we actually didn't know so much about, we didn't know so much about the different ways that we could fail, right? So, and later that I got to know about this concept, I call it the gift of blindness, right? So here's the idea, and I've tested it in multiple places, especially in the gym with a couple of gym buddies and gym whatever it is. I don't even know their names sometimes, but I just vibe with them. They would talk and everybody go home. So the idea is, if you're blind, if you have the gift of blindness, it means that you can't see a million reasons why you fail. You can't see a million reasons why this thing will not work. So you can't limit your imagination. You can't limit yourself. You're just like doing it. So it's just like, see, like a baby that doesn't know what fire is, and you put a candle, an open flame in front of the baby gets fascinated by the idea of the light. I mean, it looks like it's moving, it's dancing, and that thing is bright enough. They really want to see what's inside it. So you see a baby beside it is an open flame like a candle. They want to touch it, they want to take it and check what, I mean, their mind is curious because their mind is blind to the fact that when you touch the flame, it can burn you. Right. So they are like, until it actually burn them. So that's what I call the gift of blindness. So the gift of blindness, the way it works is you are not aware of the danger, so you just charge into whatever you're doing. And I think that was the greatest gift I I've ever had working on anything. Yeah, that was the greatest gift I've ever had working on anything. If I look back when I was taking my certification in financial analysis, I think if I knew that it was going to be as hard as it was, I most probably wouldn't do it. Yeah, I most probably wouldn't do it. And I was listening to the CEO of Nvidia, right? There was a particular clip I saw of him that said, where he was talking about how hard it is to build a company, and he was like, it's freakingly hard. That if he has the chance to go back, he wouldn't do it again. But what got him to do it the first time is the gift of blindness, because he doesn't really know how hard it could be. I mean, you can estimate that, I mean, it's going to be hard, but you don't know that it's going to be that hard. So the gifts of blindness is what made him start the company in the first place. The same thing with me. I feel like it was the gift of blindness that made us start it. Apart from the fact that you fall in love with an idea, I feel like, oh, I mean, we could do this. I mean, we could solve this. We could provide this product. We provide this solution, and you get to start, you get the idea, you get to start, and yeah, so you get to start. So, and here's how the gift of blindness worked. Let me just give you like a full context of how it worked, right? So by the time we were starting, we were supposed to start as a gaming, actually the name of the restaurant is Red City. The cat is out of the bag. So when we were starting, West City is supposed to be like a gaming space, a place you come to hang out, just game. Maybe you have a few drinks or something, right? Because I was just driving through the city and I could see that people actually need a place to go to actually, I mean, to have some kind of lively activity. I could see that people hang around in bars and all, but it's not really providing the essence of what people needed. I'm saying this now, I feel like we didn't actually scratch it, but we'll get back to it. So we're thinking, oh, what if we have a space where people can go around, have some things around to, I mean, just a very interactive space, very lively space. But when I shared it with a friend, not a network of mine, he was like, um, the market is maybe not ready for something like that, that we should try a restaurant business, right? Which was why we now pivoted to restaurant business. So if you check the West City logo, I don't know when you're watching this, but if you check the original West City logo, the one with the yellow edges and the one with the arc like this, the one with the shape like this. Yeah, yeah. So you will see that at some point there's a place there that looks like, not the text itself, the diagram part of it looks like a gaming stuff. It looks like a dice. That's because the idea is supposed to be from it was a game kind of idea. So we converted it to a restaurant and we started building. But here's where the gift of blindness came in. Right. The time we started, we didn't know that it was going to be as expensive as that. We didn't know that we had to spend as much as that. We didn't know that it was going to take as long as that, because it took us a whole year to get a setup ready to run. And we didn't know that it was going to be as hard as that to build it. We didn't know it was going to be a lot harder to keep it running. I mean, I never give it a thought that this thing has to open every single day. I mean, I was aware of the fact that you do a 9 to 5 work, then you run business. I mean, running business like doing a startup before, not really a startup like that, right? I mean, just the idea of doing a startup before or whatever, doing a business or whatever online, you do it. I mean, you can just sleep for like 2 3 days not doing anything, then you come back, you say like you're still doing business. But I never really realized, I never given it a thought that this business is something that you would this business is something that you would have to this nature of business is something that you will have to do every single day, right? Something that you'd have to wake up to every day, every day, something you have to wake up to every single day. Like I was I've, the gift of blindness was just the I think was just the thing, right? I don't know why this guy is not playing again. Okay, okay, it's playing now. Okay, well I think it's playing from the laptop. Just give me a minute. Let me get the background music up and running. What happened? It's like it's connected to something, but not mine. 1 minute. Okay. So I'm back. So I'm back. Okay. Trying to find a perfect value. Oh, great. Whoever is watching this, just feel free to skip, feel free to forward, feel free to do whatever you want to do. Cause even me, I'm doing whatever I want to do actually. So I mean, I hope nobody find this to watch later, Sha. I hope this is not what's going to blow me up. Cause bro, I'm doing shit here. I'm just I'm just talking and getting it on camera. I don't even know if this thing is going to record and play later though. whatever. All right. So now getting back to the gift of blindness, right? So I I think what if I had known that it's going to be like this, there's a very very high chance that I wouldn't give it a shot, or I would have find a way to learn more, or I mean just end up in analyzing and learning more because as at that time I didn't really know much about hospitality like that. And there's a few things you can watch online, but I didn't really see it from the inside perspective like that. I didn't really know more about it. I mean, so looking at it now, it almost felt like I didn't even know so much about what I was doing. Like it feels like everything I'm doing now, I knew about 0.05% of what I was about to start, and I started it. So at that point, that is where the gift of blindness is, right? Because I was not aware of the danger. I was not aware of whatever is going to happen, how big the job is going to be, and everything. I was just doing it. I was just doing it one step at the other. So, what's the first step to getting a restaurant up? I didn't even, I didn't even care about how. I think I was just fascinated by the idea of doing it, getting it done. I was just fascinated by the idea of arriving at the end result. That I just kept doing it, right? I was just fascinated by the idea. I just kept doing it. That and we actually kept doing it, right? So we started with the first I if you want to have something like that, the first thing you do is look for a space to lease, right? You got a space to lease, you started doing it, and after you get a space to lease, the next thing is start working on the interior and stuff like that. You just started working on it, and I mean just doing one step after the other. So when you're done with the first step, oh, what's the next thing after the interior? Oh, you realize you have to work on the kitchen, then the kitchen, after the kitchen, then the staffs, after everything. So because I didn't really plan the scope of the project from start. We didn't really plan the scope of the project from start. Like, normally we're supposed to follow normal project management ideology or stuff, whatever it is. Before you start the project, you look at the whole scope of the project, define the scope. This is what's involved. This and this and this. This is the end goal, right? And you know what you need to do and this and this. You break it down into everything. You are aware of. You are like consciously aware of everything to some extent. If you do use a business analysis approach, you are aware of what could be potential dangers, potential scope creep and stuff like that, and you know the budget, you know everything. But in this case, we didn't really approach it from that perspective, right? We knew what the end goal was, right? We knew what the end goal was. The end goal was to have a space, a restaurant, and we just started doing it one step after the other, bit by bit. We just kept building one brick at a time, one brick at a time. So we were not aware of how hard it is to do XYZ, how hard it is to do this and this. So we just started working on it. And I think it's one thing that most people actually don't have. That's why it's called the gift of blindness. You won't really have the gift of blindness when you're doing big stuff. I'm not saying you have to be clueless. I'm not saying you should be clueless. I'm just saying that it really helps if you have the gift of blindness when you're doing very crazy stuff, very big stuff, because in the concept of gift of blindness, you know what the end goal is. Say, for example, the end goal is you want to go to space, but you're here now. Say, so you just think, what's the next thing, or what's the first thing you do if you want to actually get to space? So maybe start come up with a test rocket or something. They're like, okay, if you want to be the test rocket, what is it going to be like? What's it? You just started working on it instead of looking at sitting down and looking at the whole picture. Because when you look at the whole picture, you are consciously aware of what the potential problem could be, what could give you a headache and all that, and all, right? So I think that's the whole concept of having the gift of blindness. It's really, really cool because if you are not aware of how you could fail, where you could fail, the problems you could have, and you just like charge into it, bro, you could really do a lot of things. You could, looking back, if you, I mean, you can really do a lot of things if you just charge into it like that. You could really do a lot of things. That doesn't mean you should be reckless, you should be stupid, but at the same time, if you have the gift of blindness on big stuff that you're doing, on stuff that you're doing, I mean, it just make it easy because you're just doing it one break at a time. You're actually not aware of the full scope. So it was later that I got to realize that one of my friend, a very, very close friend, yeah, a very, very close friend of mine, told another close friend of mine that, I mean, the three of us kind of know each other, that he was scared for me when we were starting the business because I was hearing about it. She was telling me that it was like, I'm really scared for Femi. Like, he's going to a a business or a niche that he doesn't even know anything about. I mean, he just going into it. And I think the fact that he didn't even mention it to me, it was just scared for me. And I hope that he was praying and was constantly wishing me that I was going to figure it out, actually helped me. Because if he had mentioned it to me, and I take time to gather so much information about what I was going into, that might have, I mean, scared me off or whatever it is, right? Now thinking about it, I think I read somewhere that if you know so much about what you want to do, then you're already late. Yeah, but this is not about the motivation and the blah blah blah. You get the idea. So it's just talking about the gift of blindness, basically, right? So I think it would be amazing thing if you have the gift of blindness in whatever you're doing. This is not supposed to be a motivation, a content, or whatever it is. So that's why I'm just like enjoying myself, right? Because nobody's meant to watch this or see this, and if it eventually becomes that kind of things that makes you, I don't know, it's all cool. Yeah. Then I think another thing that I now found interesting that I discovered in the last 365 days or 359 days, say in the last 12 months, is that you actually don't need to know what you're doing to become an expert in a particular area or to have results in a particular area. You just have to be consistent. And being saying consistent, I don't mean it in a motivational way or in a cliche way. Let me not use the word consistent. I think you don't have to be an expert to get results in something, and you don't have to know so much to get results in a particular space. You just have to figure out the basic, like the simplest steps around it, and keep repeating. When you repeat enough, you figure out what is actually wrong, what you need to do better, and you just get results. So to put it in another way, I think if you repeat nonsense long enough in a particular area, you would get results. I think so. It's counterintuitive, but I feel like it works. So because when I started the gym, I didn't know so much about, I didn't know anything about muscle mass. I didn't know anything about method of building. I didn't know anything about, I didn't even know the part of the body that is called tricep. Fuck. I didn't even know the part of the body that is called tricep. I didn't even know the part of the body that is called bicep. I didn't even know jack shit. Right. But I was stubborn. Right. I was stubborn in the sense that I didn't want to go for a trainer. I didn't feel like a trainer is something that I want to, maybe stubborn out of poverty or not having a spare cash to just pay for a trainer. But I was just doing my thing. I think I just believed that I could figure it out by myself, right? And seriously, I just kept going to the gym, see what people do. When I get there, I want to work in particular. I see what the person is doing, and I feel like, okay, this is what the person is doing. I did a couple of stuff, then I figured that when I do this, it hurts this particular part of my body. So maybe I do bench press, it hurts my chest. Then I figured it works for the chest. When I see somebody do something, and I'm like, oh, what does this? It tell me, oh, then it's just like being in that area long enough. I gathered enough information of what to do and what to do. Then I broke those information down, like I compressed it down into the basics. I was not doing the fancy whatever everybody's doing. I brought it down to the basics, what are like basic stuff, right? And I kept repeating the basics for so long that it became impossible for me not to see results. I think that's the idea. If you do so much repetition around a particular space, it becomes like impossible for you not to see results, right? It becomes impossible for you not to see results. I was doing so much that it became impossible for me not to see results. When I started working, I didn't even know I was working out on my back. I was just doing something. I was just doing a particular stuff. I mean, that's bench row. I was just doing it. At, at some point, I figured it works on it for the back, but I just kept doing it. I just kept doing it. Then one day, it looked like I just woke up. My back was V shaped. It was big. I was able to flex my whatever it is, and I figured that that's when I realized that if you stay in an area long enough and you repeat whatever it is that you're doing long enough, you get some level of results. Then from there, you figure your way out. So it was when I got the result that I started, oh, this and this, and I was started figuring that. So yeah, I guess right. So that's another thought that was whatever it is. Mm, 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 mm. Yep. Okay. Great. So I think another thing about this is I think if you just repeat long enough, you just become something. And looking back on it, I think I've done this in like multiple space, in like different time, multiple space. That actually does not make sense. That I've not realized it. So when I was in secondary school, I was I was part of the general student that doesn't really like you don't crush the threshold of doing well in class and stuff like that. I mean, just I could memorize stuff and I mean give it to you back to back in exam and all. I mean, I was doing averagely good for myself. But when it comes to math, I think I was not really good with math, right? So I was not really good with math and stuff like that. But I figured at some point that it's not because I was not good enough at it, it's because I was not repeating it. Because there was a particular day we were talking in secondary school, and one person said that he does he practice every day. And I'm like, whoa. So you do this every day. No wonder when it's time for exam, you get like 60, 70 over 100. But I just learned the shit during the exam. Then a day to exam or 2 days to exam, show up, reading it a little bit, then try to perform magic in the exam hall. So I started something. Hold on a minute. Let me connect the sound. So I started something. And what did I start that time? I observed that the first three people in the class, I think that was SS1 or SS2, I don't know. I figured that the first three people in my class then they don't just they didn't just they didn't just I didn't know what they were doing that made them the first three. But I was like, okay, I can't be the first three because those guys are already the first three. Then I was like, I don't want to be part of the everybody because I knew that I could actually do what these guys were doing. So I was like, what I would do is I'll pick one person out of them and I'll copy everything that the person does. And if I copy it long enough, I'll become the fourth. So I was not looking to become the third. I just didn't want to be part of the remaining people. So I was like, if I copy it long enough, I was going to become the fourth. Right. So I just did that. And I copied, okay, his name was Aziz. So I started, what I did was, I changed where I was sitting. I started sitting beside him, or sometimes at the back of him. I always fight for space in secondary school and stuff like that. I was sitting somewhere around him, either beside him or at the back of him. Then I was literally copying everything he was doing blindly. I was copying it. I copied it so much that it got so bad that people in his class, I was not even aware until they mentioned it to me. People in the class noticed that I literally copied everything the guy was doing. So if he was going out to get snacks, I would follow him. If he was going out to do this, I'll follow him. It was more like I was doing shadow boxing. Shadow boxing, basically like the person is showing you, the person teaching you boxing by showing their own move. So if the person do this, you also do this. So it's literally like you are shadow boxing. So I was literally shadow boxing him academically in secondary school. I didn't know the shit that I was doing, but I was doing that. So I'll copy everything that he does. Like I just feel like if I replicate whatever he's doing to make him part of the first three, because it's either he's the first, he's the second, or he's part of. I mean, in all of the subjects, the three of them were always like exchanging. Maybe one person score higher, one person score higher. Like it's just that kind of three, whatever it is that they are doing. So I started copying him, and I copied him long enough that people figured that I was actually like copying him. So where I came to the consciousness that people, I think I didn't really sit myself down to copy him. It was just a random thought. It was just like a subconscious stuff. Then I just started acting it out. Then at some point I even forgot about it. Then until people brought it to my attention during the class, right? So there was, I think when they realized it, they asked the guy to go and do something, like all this kind of normal secondary school silliness. So it was, I think maybe they were already discussing amongst themselves. So they told him to maybe go get a duster or go get chalk at the principal's office. Then I would follow. Like, it was like, I want to go and get chalk at this. Then I was like, oh yeah, let's go together. I'll follow. He came back. Maybe they were observing whatever it is for a while. And at a certain point, one of them like said it out like, well, you always copy and follow him to do everything. So if he goes out now, you follow him. And funny thing is, I was not ashamed then. I just laughed it away. I just laughed it away. And the craziest thing is, not long after, I realized that when they called the first, second, third, the next person that is supposed to follow them, it became like a normal thing that when they see these are the first three in the class, when they are looking for the fourth, they automatically just look for me. Right? It just become crazy shit. Right? It just became a thing, right? So for them, there was really no like the first person, first, second, third. They just know that amidst the three of them, there's a first, there's a third, second, right? Nobody could actually point to this is the first, this is the most. Everybody had their opinions about. I think this one is smartest. I think this one is smartest. So there was really no like a consensus. But when you're looking for, if these guys were not around, say the three of them was not around, I look for somebody to answer a question or whatever it is. Just looking for somebody that follows in line. You just look at me, and I think I did it long enough at some point. That by the time I was getting to SS2, right? By the time I was getting to SS2, I discovered that one of them was good in a particular subject, which was mathematics, right? So what I did is I decided to just focus on one subject, so that if this person is good on this, I don't have to win in all of the subjects. I mean, for the subject that are like normal theoretical, you read and you just, I mean, I could ace those ones easily. I could find my way around because right from primary school, I could sit down with an entire class note for every time, memorize the whole shit, and go to the exam or the next day. Like I could sit down. I was able to do that because growing up, if you don't know, you can't answer questions about your exam. While we're growing up, my mom will sit everybody down. If you can't answer questions about your exam, you cannot go play. So that was when I developed that. I was lazy, actually. That's when I developed that hack. I didn't. Now looking back at it, I could remember some of the stuff, right? So what I did was I would memorize my entire notes for the period. I'll memorize my entire notes. So that by the time she's asking us that, have you read? Have you read? Have you read? Everybody, will come and answer this and this. So by the time she carries my note and tries to ask me a question, there is no spot in the entire note that you ask me a question that I will not be able to recite back to you word for word. So I just figured out that's the best way. Just memorize this stuff. So when she asks a question, I'll just give her the question. And when I ask her my questions, I can go play. Then go to the exam boy in the school the next day. The teachers will bring the question. I mean, there was really no creativity then. So I would just put it down the way they ask it, list it out. I mean, it was just all definition, characteristics, and this differences and all. You just put it down and go. So in that SSC, I just figured, oh, if this guy has a particular subject that he's good at, so the guy has a particular subject that he's good at, and every other person just they are good as him, but because he does it, he kind of repeats it more. I think he has a dad that like push him to do this thing every time. So he kind of like he just has see a little bit ahead of everybody, the other two. So at that point, I decided let me just pick a subject. So I just said, okay, I'll sit down with physics. And what I did then was, I mean, looking back, I didn't know what some principle about lives were. I didn't know what the word consistency looked like. I didn't know what the word persistency looked like. I don't know what those things were. But I, I mean, for somebody that was less than 15, and I'd never had conversations with my parents about stuff like that, with my brothers about stuff like that. I just knew that this is what we're supposed to. I mean, I just knew this is what I was going to do, right? So I picked physics as a subject to sit down with, and I started working on it. Like I started that every single night of the semester, I would read, and the only subject that I would read is physics. I think I started in SS, maybe SS1, second term or third term, I don't know. But I just started at the point, and I started reading it. I started reading every single time, right? So this is not supposed to be like a content, like I said before. It's just me just talking to myself because I can't sleep, so I just decided to live stream. So welcome to my live stream or YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. It's been a time. All right. So let's continue. So ah, so I was really like I was just doing it. Right. So I just picked that course then. I mean that subject. I was just reading it every night. Like imagine we have okay in secondary school it's three times in a year. Yeah, three times makes session, right? Yeah, I think so. Three times make a session, and in tertiary institution, it's just two semesters that makes a year. So three times, and what I did every night, or except on holidays. Holidays, I sleep, I do whatever I want to do. Holidays are free for me. I just do whatever the fuck I want to do. So what I did at that point is, I decided I would start reading every single night, 2 hours per night. So I would wake up by 1 and I would sleep by 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. Then I'll wake up again by say 5:30 or 6 to prepare for school and all. So I did that. I started doing that, and it got to a point. I didn't know what repetition could do. I didn't know shit about what repetition could do, right? But I just started it, and I started it. 1 minute, please. So I started it, and I was just like reading, doing the reading every night. So when I started, I just told my mom that, okay, I want to be reading every night. I want to read this night. Please wake me up. I didn't even tell her that I want to be reading every night. I just said, I want to read this night. Please wake me up. So, and she was like, oh, yeah, fine. What time should I wake you up? Because, I mean, my mom was like the alarm clock of the house then. So, like, wake me up by 1, because I would have to sleep by, say, sometimes I sleep by 9 or whatever it is. So I calculate the time I sleep by 9, sleep by 9, whatever time I sleep, I just wake up by 1, right? Then read to whatever I can read to, then sleep again. They were supposed to wake up by 5:30 or 6 again. Then we start whatever the day is going to look like. And she woke me up, and I started doing that. And I did that for a very, very long time. And at some point, it just became obvious to everyone but me that if you want something about physics, any question you want to about physics, just ask me. I'm going to have an answer for you. Like, I did it so much that I at some point when I started, it was memorizing. Like I've been doing before, I memorized, then I was able to tell you this and definition and stuff like that. But it is so long to the extent that I broke the threshold of memorizing. I began to understand. Like I understood so much that I was applying this. I could apply this some of these things, the principles, to live activities. Like we could be discussing in class. I'm like, oh, if we do this and this and this, like it became a lifestyle for me that my mind was ingrained into it. Like before SS3, I had finished the whole textbook. I think it was a Babio, whatever. Babio was chemistry. I think whatever it is, physics textbook. Then it has this very glossy shit like this. Bro, that was good. So I finished the textbook. Then I started again, and I read it multiple times. Like I'd read those topics even before we got to do it in class. I'd read it so much that I understood it. An example was equilibrium of forces. I understood equilibrium of forces so much that I was applying it in daily life. So when I want to, when I was bathing and the water is not enough to flush because we didn't have an automatic water system, we have to fetch and flush. So the water was not enough. Before I always fetch 2 buckets to flush and bathe at the same time. So at that point, I understood that wait, if you want to do was it equilibrium of forces or whatever it is that you just need to tweak something to use the same level of force, right? To use a smaller level of force to exert the same level of work. So yeah, I think that was maybe equilibrium of leverage or something. I can't remember exactly. So I was doing it and we're applying it to real life. So I was using it to solve some crazy shit. So the idea is I just repeated it long enough that by the time we are going to get to SS3, I became I had become the fourth before. By the time we were going to get the S3, I became the only person, I became the smartest person in physics then, right? So because I was like super good at physics, nobody could like literally beat me at physics then. The other guy that was math was Martin again. So the other two just decided to pick one subject as itself themselves, right? So the math guy was there, was the physics. Then one person picked chemistry. Then one person picked biology, right? So that way everybody just focused on one subject, and we're like super good at it. So when you need something about that, we know who to ask. When we are talking about this and this, we know who to go and meet. We are talking about math, and the thing is, everybody knew, like, so say we know like 60% on each of those subjects, but when we're looking at some level of knowledge or some level of solution that is at say maybe 80, 90, 100%, you know who to go to. You just literally know who to go to, right? And it was crazy like that. How I went from maybe falling in whatever number I was falling in the class to becoming number fourth, and I had the best result in physics then. I mean, it was crazy, bro. And the same thing, now looking at it, the same thing happened at the gym. I didn't know so much. I just look at the guy that looked like he's shredded in the gym. I just copy whatever he was doing. So whatever part of the body of the guy that I feel like it's cool, that I like, I just copy it and I learned the basics of. He showed me the basics, and I kept repeating that basics until I got the result. I was not. I mean, people would do fancy stuffs. Like people always learn new way of lifting weights. Some people can throw themselves on the roof and start lifting. But I don't look at the guy that had the obvious result, learn the basic from him. Then I repeated the basics long enough that the results were just showing themselves. So it now made me realize the fact that in life you actually don't need so much hack, so much mystery to become an expert in a subject matter. You just need to learn the basics of how that place work. Repeat it long enough, you figure out some of your mistakes, you correct them, you iterate a little bit, you iterate, just keep on repeating. You end up being an expert in it. Exactly. You end up you just see results. So it's this is all of this is to say that if you really want to become an expert about something, in something, or you want to see results in whatever area you want to see results, just keep just learn the basics and repeat long enough, right? You get something. Yeah. Oh shit! It's been an hour that I've been talking to myself, which is cool, right? I mean, it's sometimes you just need to let go of whatever trouble is in your mind, and this is my own way of letting go of the whatever trouble is in my mind. I just hope nobody join to like finish whatever it is I'm doing. I feel like I'm doing. Eh, So I'm going to end this stream now. Then I'll start another stream. Maybe later. Maybe I don't know. It's just late night thoughts, just late night ranting, and it's cool. See you on the other side. Cheers. This was not supposed to be a content, so don't expect anything, bro. You don't know that. All right.